Have you all seen the film The Sixth Sense? I hope so, because I'm really going to spoil it for you. Starring Bruce Willis. Right at the very end of the movie, it's revealed that he was dead all along, and everything sort of falls into place, and you see like some flashbacks, and of course the revelation. But if you go back and watch the film a second time, knowing the spoiler, it's like you're watching a completely different movie, and it gives you a completely different perspective on every little thing. And such is the case with the Letby trial and the grievances in the hospital. And according to Stuart Gillham's videos, the jury weren't told about this twist about the grievances in the hospital and all the stuff with the consultants, J.R.M. and Brewery et al. So I've gone back and started listening to the Liz Hull and Caroline Cheetham podcasts again, right back to the beginning. And like I say, completely different perspective. Like the first time I listened to the trial, just getting, bi-weekly updates or whatever, I was somewhat on the fence, but I didn't hear enough to think that she was guilty. I didn't think there was any evidence. Well, there wasn't any evidence, but some stuff didn't look favourably towards Letby, especially when she was calling some of the doctors liars, JRM, and I'm originally thinking, oh, he's a doctor, why would he lie? But just now, knowing the twist, every little thing sounds different. Like I'm right back at the beginning, but Child A, when Dr. Harkness gives his testimony and says, the baby seemed stable to me. Well, he bloody would say that, wouldn't he? After he was called for the inquest by the coroner for failing to put the lines in 3 times. There's a massive sense of you would say that, and I'm wondering how many more of these little things I'm going to pick up on as I go through the case again. And so it wasn't just me that was given a completely wrong perspective on the case. Obviously, the jury, not having heard about the grievances either, were looking at it from the wrong perspective. The other thing I wanted to talk about, again, go back to the Liz Hull podcast. Right at the beginning, they were actually talking about, we've heard from the prosecution medical experts, and they were adamant. They said, we will hear from the defence medical experts later, and of course that never happened. And also reading Judith Moritz's book, she was pointing out that ultimately it was Lucy's decision it would have been Lucy's decision not to call any medical expert witnesses. And I'm just going to give my opinion on it. So, well, firstly, should it really have been up to Lucy, given we saw her state of mind, in these post-it notes, the self-deprecating, self-punishing guilt that she feels. Is she even in a position to decide her own fate? She really doesn't know what's best for her. Looking at her notes, she's just self-punishing. The other thing, something that I suspected and has sort of been confirmed to me in Judith Morris's book, she goes and interviews Mike Hall after the trial, and like one of the little questions is she poses, so do you actually still think she's innocent then? And Mike Hall correctly says I don't know, but the evidence just wasn't there to prove her guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. And what's important about that response is, compared to Dewey Evans, who goes up there on the stand and basically perjures himself, and no matter what, 100%, according to Dewey Evans and Sandy Bowen, 100% lose, even though it's not their wheelhouse. They're just there to find cause of death, not who done it. But according to them, it's 100% Lucy done this, Lucy done that. 100% no ifs or buts. And then if you then call an actual credible independent witness, they're never going to say 100% this or that. They're always, being a scientist and having credibility, he's always going to say, when asked by the prosecution, Mike Hall is always, if asked by the prosecution, is it possible that there's it could have been an air embolus or something, he's always going to say, well, it's possible, but it's unlikely. And if you factor those two things, one set of doctors saying 100% it was Lucy, and then the defence saying, well, correctly saying, well, it's 99% sure that it wasn't her, and then there's that 1% difference, it's not going to look good. And given Mike Hall's correct assessment of, do you think she's innocent? His correct assessment is I don't know. Whereas her barrister Myers does truly believe she's innocent. So perhaps it was a tactical reason that way, where he said, okay, Mike Hall, tell the barrister all the information and then you go back for me, because Mike Hall didn't have the confidence, correctly so, to say that she's 100% innocent, to go up against, to be contrasted with Sandy Bowen and Dewey Evans, who, even though it's not their job, to say 100% she was guilty. I mean, whether or not that was the right decision, I don't know, but that's my take on that anyway.